Have you ever stared at your to-do list, feeling stuck, not because you don't have time, but because it just doesn't feel like the right time? You're not alone. And the answer isn't about time management. It's about understanding the two kinds of time we live in, Chronos and Kairos. Understanding Chronos and Kairos in the modern world, we're obsessed with Chronos time. This is the time you measure with clocks and calendars, the minutes, hours, and deadlines that structure your day. It's linear, quantitative, and constant. Chronos tells us, you have 24 hours in a day. Your project is due by Friday. You should spend 2 hours on this task. It's the time of schedules, alarms, and appointments. It's what drives productivity apps, calendars, and planners. And while it's necessary for organizing our lives, it doesn't capture the full story of how we experience time. Then there's Kairos time, the time of opportunity, intuition, and flow. It's qualitative rather than quantitative. Kairos is about the right moment, the moment when everything aligns, when you're in sync with yourself and the world around you. Kairos is when you suddenly feel inspired to write after weeks of creative block. A conversation happens at just the right moment to change your perspective. You feel an inner readiness to tackle something you've been avoiding, even if the deadline is far away. Kairos doesn't follow a clock. It's not about how much time you have, but about whether it's the right time to act. Why you're struggling with your project now, let's bring this back to your project, the one you've been stuck on. When you feel like you're spinning your wheels, most of us immediately default to Chronos thinking. I just need to schedule more time. If I spend 2 more hours, I'll make progress. I'm falling behind. I need to catch up. But what if the problem isn't how much time you're spending? What if the issue is that you're trying to force a Chronos mindset onto something that requires Kairos timing? Projects, especially creative or complex ones, often don't respond well to rigid schedules. You can't always force progress just because the clock says it's time to work. Sometimes, the deeper issue is that the moment isn't ripe yet. Your mind, emotions, or even external circumstances aren't aligned for forward movement. And here's the key: that's not a failure. It's a natural part of how time and progress actually work. Recognizing when it's Kairos time. So how do you know when you're in Kairos time? Kairos isn't about passive waiting. It's about being attuned to the right moment. Here are signs that it's time to act. Sudden clarity. After days of confusion, you suddenly see the solution clearly. Flow state. You start working, and hours pass without you noticing. You're fully immersed. Synchronicity. You encounter the right resources, people, or insights just when you need them. Emotional readiness. Tasks you were dreading feel lighter, even exciting. When these moments arise, progress feels natural, not forced. You accomplish more in a short period because you're aligned with the task on a deeper level. Balancing Chronos and Kairos now, this doesn't mean you abandon schedules or deadlines. Chronos time still matters, it provides structure and accountability. But success comes from balancing the two. Use Chronos to create space for work. Use Kairos to recognize when it's the right time to dive deep. For example, you might schedule time to work on your project every morning, Chronos, but you also remain flexible. If inspiration strikes at 10 p.m. or after a walk in nature, you lean into that unexpected Kairos moment. The key is to listen to your energy, intuition, and circumstances. When Chronos and Kairos align, that's when real progress happens. How to cultivate Kairos in your life. If you want to harness the power of Kairos, here's what you can do. Create open space. Leave gaps in your schedule for spontaneous inspiration. Overloading your day with Chronos tasks leaves no room for Kairos moments. Practice mindfulness. The more present you are, the easier it is to recognize when you've entered a Kairos window. Meditation, journaling, and quiet reflection help attune you to the right moment. Trust the process. Sometimes, stepping back is the most productive thing you can do. Trust that progress isn't always linear. Your subconscious might be solving problems beneath the surface. Follow your energy. Notice when you feel energized about a task. That's your internal clock signaling it's Kairos time. The bigger picture. Life in Kairos. This isn't just about projects. It's about how we approach life. Living entirely in Chronos, always rushing, scheduling, and measuring, leaves us feeling burned out and disconnected. But when we make space for Kairos, we find flow, meaning, and deeper satisfaction. Relationships blossom when conversations happen at the right time. Opportunities arise when we're attuned to them. Life feels richer when we're not just counting time, but truly inhabiting it. Remember, it's not always about how much there is to do. Sometimes, the work isn't moving forward because it's simply not the right time yet. And that's okay. When the time is right, when Kairos arrives, you'll know. And progress will happen naturally. So the next time you're feeling stuck, don't just look at the clock. Ask yourself, is this really the right time? Because when Chronos and Kairos align, that's when you'll move forward, effortlessly.